Now, when I first saw this report, I probably had the same reaction as you guys. How on earth could this be true? It's a Russian report. Khamzat has been arrested because he didn't represent Sweden in his last fight when he obviously has been living in Chechnya for... It doesn't make a lot of sense. Except in actuality, it makes perfect sense once I outlay what is going on in Sweden right now. So I'm just going to keep reiterating in videos now that if you want to go directly to a specific story that I've put on the thumbnail, in the description, I'll always have chapters. So what we have in today's episode, we have a Khamzat Chimaev arrest story, Sean O'Malley, pay-per-view numbers not being very good according to Aljamain Sterling story. We have the MMA Awards story, and then we also are going to talk more about Joe Rogan, Jeffrey Epstein, and what you guys said in the comments after my video yesterday. With that out of the way, I want to start this video by talking a little bit about my video yesterday, because I should definitely not record videos when I am annoyed or in a bad mood, because every single time, at the time that I'm recording them, I'm like, man, this is fire. This is so good. And then I'll watch it back when I calm down after it's been up for 5 hours and I can't take it down. I'm like, oh my God, what is wrong with me? Why was I so mad? And that is exactly how I feel about yesterday's video, especially given that it has the longest average watch time of any of my videos. I'm like, of course. Oh, and my audio was messed up. So I have this video up from yesterday where the audio was messed up. Every single P or B that I said is popping in the microphone. I'm calling everyone names. I attack some random person in the comments. It's mortifying. So I apologize for my behavior yesterday. I was out of my mind. But what I am going to ask you guys to do is to live up to the agreement that I discuss on the channel periodically, which is that if you're going to watch my content, please just subscribe to the channel. I know most people don't subscribe to very many channels, but if you could please just click subscribe on mine. It makes no difference to you. It's free, and that is what I consider, like, you know, the content is the candy in the jar. If you're going to take the candy, please leave a quarter. Kind of people don't leave the quarter. They're all, there's no one enforcing this. I have more to say about the video from yesterday, but I'm going to put it at the end of the video. Obviously, you can see in the chapters, that's where it is. So I got to talk about this story that got reported by Young and Faded Society about Khamzat Chimaev getting arrested in Sweden. And I will just say this also. On Christmas, I put up a video about a report that Gabi was coming back. It came from this same channel, but this channel is going and they are translating a bunch of things that are in Russian media. That's why I pay attention, is because they find all these videos that are in Russian media and they translate them. I don't know where else to find that stuff, and so I follow them. Apparently, the story about Khabib coming back was not necessarily accurate, right? But, you know, I led that video off saying, this is where I got it. I have no idea if it's true. What I do know for sure is true is that if you go to YoKratom.com and you look at these bags of kratom right here that are $60 per kilogram, you will never find a better price on earth. Now, the reason that I brought up the Khabib story is because at first glance, this story sounded very bizarre to me. But as a result of reading it and then going and looking into some political things that are going on in Sweden, it actually makes perfect sense, right? The Khabib one were a couple posts that were taken from old, you know, they were old and then were represented as if they were like new. This is different than that because the story actually lines up perfectly with a bunch of political battles going on in Sweden. So let me tell you exactly what the report is, and then I will explain to you why this is potentially true. All right, so I'm actually just going to read this to you guys as we play it. I'm going to mute it and play it because it's just some dude speaking Russian, and a lot of people are probably not able to see the screen. But I'm going to play it, and then I'll read you guys the subtitles. So the headline is, Russian media reports Khamzat Chimaev arrested due to trouble with the Swedish government. This is the translation. Recently, information was revealed that the reason for this is Khamzat's rejection of representing Sweden as he came out under the UAE for his last fight. He is currently facing a trial and has to pay fines. As it's being reported, the reason is he has used many privileges from the Swedish government, including welfare. Hang on, they went too fast. Including welfare and receiving maternal support. What? This took place for a long time, during which Chimaev used these privileges to fund his training for fights. So the Swedish government didn't react to his recent decision positively, taking it as disrespect. It's being reported that they will try to counter this by all means. What on earth is that supposed to mean, dude? So they're saying, like, this report states that because Khamzat Chimaev lived in Sweden, leveraged welfare, leveraged some other types of support, and then when he was in his last fight, he said he's Russian or Chechen or whatever, that was disrespectful, and so they have arrested him and are prosecuting him or something and are making him pay fines. Am I a person who lives under the misunderstanding that what happens in America is what happens everywhere, and especially like, oh, well, in Sweden, they would never do a thing like that? I would challenge you guys to look into some of the craziness that has happened in Sweden in the last couple of years. So when you look up what the conflicts in Sweden have been heavily focused on in the last year to 2 years, it's about immigrants who have come from war zones in heavily Muslim populated areas. And you have this huge faction in Sweden of people who are like burning the Quran. And you have obviously the other side that is you can't allow them to do that. It's not, burning the Bible's ugly, but you burn the Quran. They don't play that shit. You know what I mean? That's not a thing that they play. And the Swedish government is caught in the middle because they are the ones who allowed the people from these other countries to come and settle and move and live there. And most importantly, leverage the many government services that that the Swedish government provides. That's what it's like in these other countries. You pay tremendous taxes, but then you have tons of stuff provided for you. Okay. Now, why would they just be providing services to people? It's because they expect you are a part of this country. And so what I would imagine that this story is actually about is that Khamzat had leveraged those services as a Swedish, I don't know if it's citizen or a legally living, refugee. I don't know, whatever his status was. He was leveraging those services. And then when he starts going out and saying that he's not Swedish, then people go and they complain. They're all, wasn't this guy leveraging all of our services? Isn't this guy... and because he's a Muslim from one of those areas, this is a super hot button topic in Sweden. And I'm obviously not taking a side on this either way. I'm just telling you what the news is and why this story actually makes sense. So if this story is true, which now that I'm saying this out loud, I think is highly probable that it is, it has to do with that. Because at first glance, it doesn't even make any sense. Why, he's arrested because he said he's from Chechnya in his last, he's Chechen in his last fight. And and listen, dude, if you are Khamzat, like I was brought to Sweden as a kid, I've lived there, and yeah, I mean, obviously I've leveraged those services, but now I'm a man, and I'm a globally famous man who can make his own decisions. And if I decide I want to live in Chechnya and I want to train with Kadyrov, and this is a very prideful country and a very prideful, set of men that run that region, and they want me to rep Chechnya and I can make my own decisions, yeah, that's probably exactly what I would do, right? But then the Swedish government then is getting pressure put on them by citizens, by these, these groups that are already, we want to burn the Quran, we want to get them out of here. And they're like, look at, this is a perfect example. We spent our tax dollars to give this guy his services, and what does he do? He goes and runs to a dictator and starts representing that country. What you going to do about that, Sweden? That is how this happens, okay? That's how this happens. All right, so one of the stories we got to cover is Aljamain Sterling saying that Sean O'Malley's pay-per-view buy numbers were not as good as he expected. Now, actually, that's not even really what he said. He said he's disappointed by the pay-per-view numbers, and he's saying Sean O'Malley is not the big draw that everyone says that he is. Okay, so there are a few things that we need to touch on related to Aljo making a statement like that. The first one being extraordinarily obvious, which is, you're the champion. You're the one with the belt, dude. Okay? I mean, at the end of the day, it's like, okay, but you're the defending champion. So if the numbers are bad, you throwing rocks at Sean seems silly. Now, I'm sure if Aljo was sitting right here with me, he would correctly say to me, yeah, but everybody said that Sean O'Malley is this huge pay-per-view draw and that I should hurry up and rush and fight him because that way I'm going to get the biggest back end on the pay-per-view. Okay, that's a fair point. And I don't think that the low numbers or lower numbers than what he expected say what he thinks that they do. Okay, or at the very least, they don't. There's like a multitude of things that they say. One of which might be that Sean O'Malley is not as big of a draw as people thought. Candidly, I have no objective ability to analyze this because I am so fired up when Sean O'Malley fights. So like to me, I'm like, let's go, son. But I also am aware that I don't have, I don't know, like I don't have the ability to kind of scan the entire landscape and know how excited like the broad public is going to be. I know I am 10 out of 10 excited when Sean O'Malley's going to fight, period. I love watching Sean O'Malley fight. He's one of those guys where if he was on screen and all he said every single day was in a completely boring drawl voice, I don't like anyone. I don't like fighting. Everybody would be like, what's up with this guy? All he ever says is that he doesn't like anyone. I'd be like, I'd still root for him every time because he's so exciting to watch fight. His fight style is phenomenal. I don't care if he had, take away his pink hair, take away the fact that he's got tattoos and all this stuff that makes him very memorable. Bottom line, his fight style is the most exciting in the UFC and has been for a long time, in my opinion. Anyway, but when it comes to the pay-per-view buys, I think that what it actually says, just as much as any other conclusion, is that the demographic that he is very popular with, which is the next generation of UFC fan, they don't buy pay-per-views. I would say that is probably the conclusion that you can draw more than any other thing, is that this young generation, they did not grow up buying pay-per-views like we did, okay? Like, look, I am obviously not 25, right? When I was 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, you know, in the early stages of like, you know, Tito and like Chuck and Randy Couture and all those, and they would do them like once every couple months. When the fight was on, you would get everybody to a house and everyone would pitch in and you would buy the fight. You bought every single fight. You just bought it. And so my generation is conditioned to buying fights. We buy them. As much as I think it's also just kind of like an ethical thing, knowing how much goes into these things, knowing that the money that we pay pays these fighters for the life that they are earning through training and fighting, etc. But it's also just conditioning. Where this next generation, when they were 18, 19, 20, 21, they just steal the fights. You know what I mean? Like it's like, okay, yeah, well, I could pay for it, or I could just go to this website and watch it for free. Why would I pay for it? I'm broke. I can't afford this. It's $80. I can't afford it. I don't have 8 friends that can each put in $10. Or if I do, you know, most of them are going to be like, why don't we just steal it? So I think that has more to do with it than anything else. And that's a huge problem in general for pay-per-views, for the model, etc. You know, I mean, you still are selling hundreds of thousands of pay-per-views every single event for the UFC. But I look at the numbers for some of these and just wonder, if we were in 2014, what would that fight have done? If there was no widely accepted way to steal fights, man. You know, 2017 even, when Conor fought Mayweather and they did those huge numbers. That was still like before everyone was just easily just ripping fights. Now it's just commonplace. And I can say that because I am not a person who rips fights, but in the very few select times where I either couldn't get the fight or I was, you know, protesting the previous fight, like when I paid to watch the Jake Paul and Ben Askren fight on Triller, and they put 17 musical acts on it, and I was like, I'm never paying for one of these again. I did not pay to sit here and watch Sweetie dancing around and then have Justin Bieber walking around high-fiving Snoop Dogg. I'm so mad about this that the next one he does, I'm not buying. And so, yeah, I didn't buy the Logan Paul and Mayweather one, which now in hindsight I kind of feel good about, given what's going on with Logan Paul. That's the only fight that I like knowingly, intentionally was like, I am not buying this. And I stole it. And it was so easy. It was unbelievable. I have offered, though, to send Logan and Mayweather. I'll send Logan and Mayweather each $50 just because I do feel kind of guilty about it, especially because I just admitted it online. But yeah, so if Logan wants to hit me up, dude, we can talk about all these things. You know, I'll send you $50. You drop the lawsuit on Dylan Dennis and we'll call it square. So yeah, that's that story as far as I'm concerned. I was so embarrassed that I felt as though I owed my viewers something, which is this. I read every comment, every single comment from the video yesterday, and I now have actually reconsidered part of the main point I was making in the Joe Rogan and Jeffrey Epstein portion of the video. In case you didn't see it yesterday, super fast, here's what we're talking about, okay? So this is the painting that was in Jeffrey Epstein's house. Joe Rogan on his podcast brought it up to his guest and said, this painting means that Jeffrey Epstein had blackmail on Bill Clinton. He's like, what this means is, I got you, bitch. And the New York Post, and then subsequently The Hill, okay, which is like, I mean, generally speaking, a place on YouTube where you can go for relatively smart takes. Both of them interpreted that publicly as Rogan saying that Jeffrey Epstein was blackmailing Bill Clinton with the actual painting, okay? Like their point being that, oh, look at this. If you don't do what I say, Bill Clinton, I'm going to show everyone this painting, which obviously is not what Rogan meant and obviously is in outer space. So what I was saying in the entire video was these people are stupid. I was like, these are morons. This is unforgivable level of lack of intelligence, right? So what I read in the comments over and over and over was that this was not a lack of intelligence, that what they were doing was intentionally pretending that they didn't understand and that Rogan was saying that that's, that he was blackmailing with the actual painting, which for obvious reasons is so stupid because, like I said in the video yesterday, Conor McGregor, look at what I did. I had an AI version of you made in a dress, and if you don't do what I say, I'm going public. I'm going to show everyone this picture of you in a dress. So send me $1 million. Send me a picture of your lady. Never mind, but you understand what I'm saying. Is this blackmail? Is there any scenario where I could blackmail Conor McGregor with something I made with AI? No. By the way, look how buff they made him look, dude. So that take is stupid. Obviously. But what everyone was saying is that no, it's not stupid. They are intentionally saying it the way they are to make Rogan look stupid. And I thought about that and I'm like, I think they're right, actually. That take is so ludicrous that they could misunderstand that to that level that I'm now at least like 50-50 that maybe these people are not total imbeciles and they are actually pretending that they think that that's what Rogan meant just to make Rogan look stupid. And then to, get him off the scent of what it obviously actually means, right? Which is, hi, Bill Clinton got caught up in the Monica Lewinsky case because of the blue dress that had jizz on it, okay? His jizz. That's why he couldn't lie anymore, because there was physical DNA evidence that tied him to this terrible crime of what he did. So the entire world knows that. So how do you, narcissist Jeffrey Epstein, represent that in the middle of your foray so you can just look at it every time you walk in there? You're like, God, I got the world by the balls. Is you paint the most powerful person in the world or one of the most powerful people in the world in the dress that got them caught up in the last case. That is why it's I got you, bitch. So I do think there's a high likelihood that they were doing that on purpose, and I just wanted to commend the people in the comments that pointed me in that direction because I actually really do think you're right. Now, I want to do a quick segment on the UFC, I'm sorry, not the UFC, the MMA Awards that ESPN did and then also MMA Fighting did, because there's at least just right out of the gate, there's one category that's pretty important, Male Fighter of the Year, and you have two fighters chosen, separately. You got Islam Makhachev for ESPN, and you got Sean Strickland on the other side at MMA Fighting. So I started looking at this and just kind of thinking, I'm like, all right, so Sean Strickland was the breakout, shocking star of 2023 by a mile, right? Because no one expected him to win the title. No one expected him to be such a huge draw. No one expected him to do what he did against Israel Adesanya, who is part of the knockout of the year per both whatever. He got it on ESPN and he got it on MMA Fighting. I was in the front row for that, by the way, in case you guys are new to the channel. I saw the knockout of the year from about 10 feet away. But, yeah. And I was wearing these sunglasses when I did it. I looked like this in Miami. But yeah, like for Fighter of the Year, Islam basically defended his title twice against Volkanovski, and I don't know. It's a weird conversation because you have like the stone cold guy who's everybody's been saying is the best for a long time. He finally proved it when he beat Oliveira in 2022. Then he defended his title against Volkanovski, and it was it was the fight of the year per both both organizations. But it wasn't, like he ended the fight gassed with Volk on top, and people thought Volk won. I did not. I thought Islam won. And then he comes back and he starches Volk with a head kick quick. Now, Volkanovski took it on short notice. Who knows? But, I completely understand why you'd give it to him. But to me, it's like fighter of the year, to me, is Strickland. I just believe that just because it's like he exploded on the scene. He did such an incredible thing winning the title. And my personal opinion, I think Strickland deserved it. But I'm not going to throw a rock at Makhachev. Women's fight of the year is Alexa Grasso. I certainly agree with that. Rookie of the year, Bo Nickel. Pretty hard to argue against that. Most improved fighter, Sean Strickland. I guess. Most that's just, I don't know. That's weird, dude. That is a weird thing to get. Most improved. I don't know. That just sounds like it's like an underhanded compliment. It's all most improved. Like, he's good now. Wasn't that good before. He's finally good. And then you got Makhachev, Volkanovski for fight of the year. Agree. Knockout of the year, like I said, Adesanya and Pereira. I was there. Front row. Submission of the year, Grasso over Shevchenko. I can get behind that. But since we're talking about it, in case anyone has not seen this, it's like I only share it every time because it's like literally one of the most exciting moments of my entire life. And by the way, go follow me on Instagram if you don't already. Look at all the fun stuff that I post. So here we go. Oh, look at that. That's us right there. That's me and Gabrielle and Mike McDaniel and his wife at UFC 287, where the knockout happened. Congratulations to McDaniel is taking over the world, dude. That is just what is happening, and it's very exciting to watch. Where is this thing, dude? Where is it? I didn't realize I post this much on Instagram. Oh, there we go. That's from 287. Me fist bumping Masvidal after he retired. This is Joe Rogan interviewing Pereira after knockout. Here it is. There you go. That's your boy right there wearing those sunglasses. And then my favorite post is this one. Watch, I just jump. I lose my mind, dude. I mean, everybody's jumping, but like when you can watch yourself, it's so embarrassing because you look so stupid. But I mean, God, this was so sick, man. Bam. Good night. And of course, highlight of the show, Jesse on fire. I'm just kidding. But that was fire. Let's all acknowledge it. That was fire. Anyway, that's probably what I got for today. Subscribe to the channel, ring the bell. Well, not for today. I got a whole other video coming on Dana White, the business, a huge lie that came out, and I don't know, another story about his replacement plan. So go enjoy that. I love you guys very much. Subscribe to the channel, ring the bell. Bye-bye.